think when you became a pastor, that's when the shift for us happened because it was like it was on territory grounds.
Mhm.
I wasn't used to that. Like it was different from switching from a minister's wife to
To
a
a pastor's
pastor's
wife.
wife because it's like, okay, we're responsible for these people's soul. And I would say to any pastor's wife,
I think that's what happened too because, okay, wait, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I think what happened too because before it was just me going to work, coming home. And now I'm going to church, and these folks call themselves lifting me up and making me think that I was better and it's like I begin to be elevated by people while people was ignoring my family. I think that
Mm-hmm.
created some disruptions.
Oh, that is so good. Yeah.
And I think it's where the real point where purpose start competing with partnership is when the purpose get bigger than the partnership.
Yeah.
What's up? What's up? What's up? We're back with another podcast, and we're loving the fact that you're here with us. Listen, you know how I always kick it off: like, subscribe, and share. Hit the bell button, and make sure you forward to somebody. Let them know that hey, the Hardens are on again. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon.
Yes. Welcome back. Thank you for the new followers. We always want to rock out with you guys.
Always,
Appreciate it. Can't wait to continue to grow with you, man. So thank y'all for being a part.
we are tired.
Yes,
We're
we
not gonna
are.
lie, but we want to always be committed to keep the wheels running. But even though we're tired, we're not out of good discussion, good topics, good conversation.
Yeah.
But if you always want to, if you would like to, we always want you to drop in some ideas, some things you want to hear us talk about, some things you want to hear us share. You know what? You are our audience, and we want to always meet you where you are. Today we got a pretty good topic. Inspired by Mr. Devin himself.
Yes. Thank you, Dev.
So
Yep.
today we're going to discuss when purpose competes with partnership. Man, I think if
Oh,
anybody can talk about that, we can.
yeah, buddy. I look at it and I think about it. I'm like, we wrote a book for those that don't know, shameless plug, called Marriage Survival Guide a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
You wrote your version. I wrote my version
Actually, a long
a
time
long
ago.
time ago, like back 20, what?
I think
Like
at least 2000,
2017, 15, maybe?
probably so.
Probably so, something like that. It
Yeah,
was right after I wrote my first book, There's Power in Your Pain.
yeah.
Then you decided you wanted to write a
Hey,
book with me.
I got to warm up everybody.
But I said, man, we really need to write another one about the competition that happens between couples that is like so unknowingly, right? And you don't even realize until it all hits the fan, especially when you are two couple. I'm not gonna say power couple, and I don't like the thing of where relationship goes. I don't, even though it's a great movie, by the way, but I don't really, because it's like we're not necessary goals, but we do stuff together,
Yeah, yeah.
and we do it well now. What we're learning now in business, so that's a whole nother topic. But I just say this is that I realize that being a couple that are both making moves, I guess you can say power moves. We both make power moves in ministry, in business, and just in life
Yeah.
general. We're not ones that sit down on our thumbs and wait till stuff happens. Which sometimes can, when we first started this thing out, was
It
so
was a
not.
clash.
It was
And,
a
and,
clash.
and I think about this here, and I think people even watch our podcast and they can see that we're two alphas. You know what I'm saying? I'm alpha male, you're alpha female.
Mm-mm, I'm alpha soft.
Yeah, for some. But one thing about it, I feel like sometimes you see that couple where the husband is called to the world and the wife is called to the husband, and it works. Or
Yeah.
the wife is called to the world and the husband
Husband
is
is called
called
to
to
the
the
wife.
wife. It works. But we both are called to, I ain't gonna say the world, but I ain't gonna say it. We called to the abroad of our marriage.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we got to come back to each other. I think what happened was in the beginning, you settled for being called to the husband.
Yeah.
You settled to be
Oh,
called
can I talk to
kids.
that?
Talk about that.
That woman that is when you because when I first got married, we were young, we were in our 20s. And so you find yourself, especially when you don't feel like you're enough, you done made it, all of that great stuff. You really find yourself at a point of trying to identify. Can we turn that one over here? I'm sorry. That light.
Are you good? Was like you
I'm
gonna
good
make
with
it?
light. But it's like when you become that woman that's young. We were young when we married. And because we were young when we married, I got into a marriage where I didn't know my worth. I almost like you saved me, from life, from struggling, from da 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 da, and it was just like, okay, well, I gotta make sure that he's good. And I think to every woman out there that I was speaking to is that if you're there to where you're building your spouse, you're building your husband, you're making sure he has everything. I was there, man, and I was so busy building you and my girls and making sure, I was the stay-at-home mom that spent time with my babies. I had school with my children. We talked on the phone, not talked on the phone. We talked, they ain't had no phones then,
Nah.
but we sat there and I made sure they had lunch. It was like the typical white picket fence relationship. So it was built around you and what you wanted.
I think part of it. I think part of it in a low key when it came to marriage in general.
Mhm.
I was the husband that went out and went into the world, and you was the wife to stay home. I think in a simple mindset, you were happy with being a housewife
Mhm.
because that was a goal. Because some of your people were working, it was a goal to be a housewife,
Mhm.
and for me, it was a goal to be the husband provided. So I think in a part of us, it was satisfying that we were what we were ambitious to become,
Mhm.
but didn't realize we was living someone else's dream.
Yeah.
We was being that textbook marriage.
No, I think we were doing what worked for us. I felt as if, we had sickly kids. Devin, baby, they were so sickly. They get sick at people's house. They had asthma. They were allergic to different milks, and so I was very, very protective of my children. And so because of that, I became in this place of complacency that it worked.
Yeah.
And why not just work around what works until it did not work?
Yep. Yep. I'm gonna ask you a question. So we still dealing with the fact of when purpose gets in the way of partnership or competes with partnership. Was there ever a point before you got sick that you were over being an at-home mom?
No, I was okay with it. I wanted to be not just a at home mom. Like if it worked and we went broke, being at home was fine. But when we started getting broke, it was like, let's, you know what I'm saying?
But even
I
when
need to
you
go to work
but even when you went to work, you wasn't going to work to be accomplished. You was going to work to be
to
a help.
help mate.
And so it wasn't until you got sick is when you came out and said, hold up, I'm bigger than just a helpmate. I gotta be.
Facts.
So that's the thing. So early on in
Were
our
you
marriage,
okay with me being at home?
yeah,
Being a stay home?
I was, I was a macho guy who thought that a man was only a man if he was really a man if his wife was a stay home wife and he went out and he got the bread and got the meat and you came home and I made sure that the house taken care of. You make sure I made sure the bills taken care of, make sure the house taken care of. I thought that was the epitome of what a man was. That's what my daddy did. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so I thought I was that next level. See my uncle, Landre come home and he spoiled his wife even though she worked. And I believe in his heart, you don't got to. You only work because you want to, not because you have to. Because I
Mhm.
got this, And so I was good.
You a man, man.
I think
You's a man,
I
man.
think I am. I think my dad
Okay.
made me a man, man. My dad,
Gotcha.
every hard man was my grandfather. He hard. My grandfather died working. That he was still he wasn't working on somebody's job, but he got up every day and he went in that field and when he could and when he couldn't, I think it bothered him. I think that's part of what took him out because he
Really?
couldn't get out in that field like he used to.
Okay.
So,
Got it.
the key thing is that when we got together, there was no disruption. There was
Mhm.
a plan, and the plan I would say was disrupted by you, but then I can't say it disrupted by you. I got God disrupted our plan because we were rolling, doing us, doing our regular routine. Because my dream, whenever I graduated from high school, my dream was I never forget it. It was very vivid in my mind. I never forget it. My dream was at the age when I was a young kid. By the time I was grown, I knew I wanted to have a wife. I want to have 3 kids. I want to have a white. I want to have a 2-story house. 2-car garage, picket fence with 2 cars and 2 cars in the parking lot. That was my life. That was my dream. And we had reached that. And we had reached it. We didn't realize that that was what we got then, but that was the beginning of nothing. That was just the beginning of that was just the ending of everything. And God had a whole new journey.
Mhm.
So when God called me to pastorship, I think that's when ministry.
I would say even before, because it was like you went to school, I stayed home, you went to work, you were fulfilling your dream. And I tried to make sure that I did everything I could to make sure you fulfill your dream. And I hate to say this, but I'm gonna say this, and this might be bad, but I felt like you were okay with that.
But I'm gonna tell you a secret though, because no, I'm tell you why.
Okay.
If you remember this, and I want y'all, because I want you as a woman to understand what your husband did with, or forget gender. I want the person who's in my seat understand what
Oh, I feel
I'm
like
going
this
through.
been finna be a hard conversation.
No, I don't think it is because I think you remember this here.
Okay.
If you remember correctly, I woke up one day in the 2-story house with the picket fence with the kids, and I was lost. I didn't know who I was because up until that point, I've been doing everything for everybody. And I remember I got the one I prayed, and the only thing came out of my mouth, God, is who am I? And it wasn't until then I kind of put serving you and the kids to the back burner. And I said, you know what, I got to go find me. And I started going to college.
Hmm.
That's when I locked in for the first time and said, I got to find something because up until that point, I had nothing at all besides I went to the military. That was the only thing I really had. I didn't go to college. I got out of school and I thought I had my situationship in place. And I was trying to fix that situationship. And thank God we came across the other path. But until I woke up that day and I said, hey, I don't know who I am. And that moment, Alana was maybe 2, Kiana maybe 3. No,
Actually, we were in the apartment.
no. I never forget was because we was in the house because I was in that office that I turned into Madison's bedroom.
Oh, okay.
I was on that floor, and that's when I actually started going to college. Was in that room, and I actually did my college class in that room.
Hmm.
So that's when I actually woke up one day and said I didn't know who it was. Now from that day, I was good with you being a stay home mom because I feel like okay now she's supporting me getting my dream. But my dream was extended beyond its expectation. But I don't mean if you had another version of that.
I just remember, being a minister. I supported you in that. You becoming, you pastor. I supported you in that. You becoming the like college student. We supported you in that. I supported you in that. Being a father, you ain't have to do nothing. I did everything for the girls. You took care of us and you did that part. And I think when you became a pastor, that's when the shift for us happened because it was like it was on territory grounds.
Mhm.
I wasn't used to that. Like it was different from switching from a minister's wife to
To
a
a pastor's
pastor's
wife.
wife because it's like, okay, we're responsible for these people's soul. And I would say to any pastor's wife,
I think that's what happened too because okay, wait, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I think what happened too because before it was just me going to work coming home. And now I'm going to church, and these folks call themselves lifting me up and making me think that I was better and it's like I begin to be elevated by people while people was ignoring my family. I think that
Mm-hmm.
created some disruptions,
Oh, that is so good. Yeah.
and I think it's where the real point where purpose start competing with partnership is when the purpose get bigger than the partnership.
Yeah.
And I think, and sometime when I first got started on, I thought they was more important than I ain't gonna say my family,
No, go ahead and say it because
but I
that's what
say
it
my
was.
responsibility to serve them
Mm-hmm.
was to me something that y'all should have. Not saying I'm right now,
Mm-hmm.
something that you should have understood. And even though I know how ignorant I was,
No, yeah, because I think at the time it was like understand the situation, and I should have I would say to any pastor's wife, if you know that the mantle is bigger than you, you can't allow yourself, and I allowed myself,
you got
meaning
back up.
no
Yeah,
what
explain that.
meaning that okay, we're doing, especially when your husband has a pastor heart and he has the right heart. Every pastor's wife know when your husband out here being crooked. You know when that joker up to no good. You can feel it in your shanana, all of that great stuff. But when you have a man of God that's just really trying to follow God, it is at some point to where you cannot allow these selfish moments of I need. to get in the way of the growth of where you're going.
Yeah.
And that's what that not all the time, meaning that it was some of the times that I could have just been like, it is what it is. People gonna be people. Things are gonna happen in church. You gotta go here. You gotta go to the hospital. I could have understood some of that to a certain extent.
Gotcha.
Does that mean? Because it comes with the calling. But at the same time, I needed, as a pastor's wife, I am learning now in my state that you had to learn your own way versus me trying to beat it down your throat. You were already dealing with stuff with people in the church, and I'm making it worse at home because I'm nagging, I'm complaining. You see what I'm saying? All of that. And it's learning that it's going to be God's timing when God allows him to see what he needs to see. And it wasn't until you started seeing it. No matter what I told you, no matter what I said, you could not see what was happening from people putting you on a pedestal, and mistreating your children and your wife. Like at the end of the day, like that Devin, do I say this on this podcast? Jesus on the main line. From women writing letters, cooking you breakfast. Come here, every pastor's wife. And if you don't understand this, you ain't never been there. Cooking food and having food for you and not your kids. The disrespect was beyond loud, but it was also understanding that what I was fighting against. Now, there could have been some times that it could have been better, but at that time we needed that.
Yeah.
That all of that I'm talking about, it had to happen to get us where we are today because it allowed you to see that, wait a minute, and after a couple of, your eyes open after about a year or 2 or 3, but it opened. And when it did, it was just like, dang, I didn't forgot about my family.
And I think, because I think were we still in the shopping center when I actually woke up?
Yeah. We were in the shopping center.
You
woke, and I'm going to say it, I don't even care. You woke up when someone literally, when it got to a point to where there was a whole clique, and I started being quiet with the clique. I wasn't fighting back. I wasn't going off because the Lord told me, be quiet. And you started seeing for yourself because it was stuff that had been happening for the longest. Other people could see it. They never knew from me because I never opened my mouth about it. I never said anything about it. I protected my children as much as I could, but I literally kept my mouth closed. And it wasn't until a night a young lady flipped. And I'm sitting there like, girl, what is wrong with you? You okay? And that's when you was like, wait a minute, what is going on here?
The thing is though, but when you, and I don't mean to rebuttal you, but I think for you to say that you should have maybe been quiet, but it was your speaking up that helped me recognize when it actually happened.
No. When I say be quiet, I said I was being quiet to them because if not, we was gonna tear up your church.
No, I thought you said that you should have not said as much and maybe been more submissive or something.
No, because, and the reason why I say that is because you wouldn't have seen, you couldn't see what I saw. You couldn't understand.
That's you saying it actually made me recognize, because even
I don't care. It didn't matter what I said. At the end of the day, it wasn't until you saw in action,
let me tell you,
what was happening
online right now.
Oh God, here we go. See, you heard me, David. I said this is not going to be good.
I didn't change, but everything she said was registering back there.
But it wasn't no action.
It wasn't no action.
No.
I think the more she said it, it actually slowly came to the front of my
well, you ain't. I'm just finding this out today.
Yeah.
Because I ain't know it was coming to your mind. But in that midst, I believe in that moment, that's when, for me, the character building started to happen. For me, it made me tougher. It had to happen. It made me tougher than spiritually, if that makes sense. It made me go into prayer. It made me go into fasting. It made me tap into a level of God that I had never tapped into before you becoming a pastor. When you was a minister, I leaned and depend on what I knew when it came to my mama God, what I knew when it came to what I grew up with. But then it's something about character building that allows you to become a giant in the spiritual realm. And that's what happened for me. I'm not saying I was a giant, but I was going to war and not realizing that I was fighting against not the person, but spirits. So
yeah. And the crazy thing is that this is not just limited to
excuse me.
That's okay. It's not limited just to church. It go beyond the church walls, because maybe you are a stay-home wife and your husband is called to the work force, called to do whatever, community. And we talked about this before and come kind of, it's kind of funny. I think I don't know if it said business or church became another woman. Some of them we said before became another woman. But
Mhm.
in this case, business, work, church, it all can become the other woman because you're giving your attention to it, you're nurturing it, you're investing in it, and you're hoping the family is going to be there when you get home.
Yeah.
And because in your mind you're thinking this is what I'm supposed to do. But
Yeah.
I tell anybody, especially that woman or man, don't be silent. If you feel a certain kind of way, you gotta speak up, man. Because if you just say, I'm here to support my husband, I'm here to support my
Yeah,
wife,
never. Yeah.
what you're gonna end up doing is allowing him or her to get oversaturated. And watch this, fall in love with someone who's in love with what he's doing,
Yeah.
or fall in love with someone who's in love with what she's doing, because you're so passively you're so passive in what he's doing or what she's doing to where you're allowing him to get lost in something that's not healthy.
And I would say one of the things that I did do with you is I told you, hey,
Mm-hmm.
be careful. Hey, watch out.
Yep.
Hey, this person means you no good. Be careful. I believe because of the season, like you said earlier, because of the season I did drop, it did kind of let you see. But there was a season and a time,
I
and I
agree.
never forget it, that I had to be quiet.
And the thing,
I literally, and I'm sorry, I want
no,
to
go
say
ahead.
this. I literally had to allow God to soften and change my heart
Yeah.
for the people. That makes sense?
Yeah.
To where I had to get to a point to not allow and get a thicker heart, because I felt like a wimp in the body of Christ because every little thing affected me. And I had to learn not to let that happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's important. And that was my own battle that I had to go through. But I believe because of that battle, you started to see something in
Yeah.
me, which ended up being the co-pastor of the church. And if that's when the battle began with me and you,
Yeah.
it was no longer with the people, but now the battle was between me and you.
I don't
And
want to go there. Before we go there, I
mhm.
want to step back just one step and
Okay.
deal with the fact that, because even I want to make sure that you understand that person listening here, whether it's the woman or whether it's whoever it is, but specifically the woman, um, I didn't get it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I wasn't this, oh, I know these women want me, or I know the situation is disrespectful. I thought my wife was being aggressively possessive and jealous. And I literally thought in my mind, I'm gonna give an example. One lady I was meeting with on a regular basis. And it's the second situation, not the first. I was
Mhm.
meeting with on a regular basis, and I actually thought the first one my wife told me about, it blew up, and thank God. But the second, I didn't see the first one at all. I literally thought I was being a minister. I thought I was ministering to her. I thought I was being there for her. I was naive. I was a naive minister. And,
Mhm.
and regardless if it's a minister or if he's a boss or whoever the person is, I thought I was being a very good person to these people. And then when I found out, like, dang, there's an attraction building, from this person, even from me, there was an attraction building. I won't even just take it off from that. But you naively walk into the situation, right? So now it's happening again. And what you bring it to my attention and saying the things you said, we're having some strong communication about it. And I thank God I never cheated on my wife. I emotionally cheated. I will not lie. I emotionally cheated on my wife. And
Mhm.
but thank God she called it, spoke it out, and brought it to my attention.
Yeah, just by FYI, drove up to the whole place of the job with the children in the bag. I'm that. I see. And how the Lord gonna let me be a pastor wife? I don't understand. But I'm like, Jesus, now come on now to help me. But I got better.
Yep.
But that day I drove up
Yep.
to the thing. So that second time I had to be quiet
Yeah.
because I didn't handle the first time
But the second
correctly.
time you brought it to my attention again.
I did, but I ain't
And
say nothing to the person. That's what I'm
no,
saying.
you didn't send the person. But the second time you brought it to my attention again, I'm like, dang, how in the heck this happened again? But now
Hmm.
I'm aware. I'm seeing how she's moving. Now I'm getting angry with her because now you disrespecting my marriage. The
Right.
first time I was disrespecting it ignorantly, and the person
Oh,
was
that's
disrespecting it
good.
ignorantly.
Hmm.
Now I'm aware. I'm like, I'm once again naive, but thank God you bring it up. He said, babe, she she on me no good, and she
Hmm.
done this and she done that, and so one day, it ticked me. I'm gonna stop using the P word. It ticked me
Don't
off,
cuss it,
man.
Pastor.
I went to her and I said, hold up. I said, I noticed something. Because you said it. I never forget a statement. I never forget where I was standing when I told her. I said, you giving me access to something your husband don't have access to. And that's your mind and the things going on in your head. I said, you let him move in your whole entire home, but you have not let him. You let him move in, but you ain't let him bring his baggage in. And he's there, but you're letting me in parts of your mind your husband should be dealing with. You need to stop. And I said, and from that day forward, I shut down because I realized she was using me as an emotional tool that she wasn't using for her husband. It offended me.
Yeah, I remember.
And so now, from then on out, because you said something, because you made me aware of it, I began to sniff it out and become more aware, whether it's at church, whether it's at work, no matter what it was. And not that I'm just this guy or whatever, but I think certain women was attracted to the things how I was moving, what I was doing, not just me, but the things I was doing.
I think that just happens. I would say this to anyone that is in, if you're not in ministry, you'll not understand this. But when you're in pastoralship, that comes with it. It is something that some women are attracted to and they're a part of. And it goes the same way for.
I think part of it is a pastoralship, but like right now, I told you the other day, people are attracted to how you are, confident, how you move.
Okay.
There is a sexiness to ambition and drive.
Yeah, but then I told boy I be at the store, they be trying to holler at me. I say, this little man follow me around the store. I'm like, sir, I finally had to say husband. Can you help me? He was like, oh, my bad. I'm like, sir, can you do? But anyway, yeah. But my thing is,
picture about a dude walking down the road and he just kicking a can, looking down at the ground. That's not attractive.
Yeah.
Somebody could be walking. You don't even know if they got a car or not, but they look like they're going somewhere.
Yeah.
There's an attraction to that.
Yeah. I definitely agree. But I will say too, for us, when we got to this point, I think that transition for us, it was the redirection of our marriage when you became a pastor.
Yeah.
It was the redefining, not redirection, the redefining of who we were becoming.
Watch this. Whenever you had the kids, they was attached to your bosom.
Oh God, okay.
And reason I'm not saying that
I get it. I know what you're saying.
Right? Before we had kids, I was your number one focus.
Facts.
But now you got kids, I'm like pushed to the side because you got a new responsibility. Your new responsibility, yeah, I gotta take care of you, but these are this is my primary these are my primary responsibilities.
Right.
I gotta make sure they feed, I gotta make sure they diaper change, I gotta make sure I gotta give them life. Right? And so to you, the children was to you what the church was to me. So now I got this new responsibility.
Oh, that's so good.
And I gotta make sure they eat. And I didn't know how to handle. I didn't know how to handle both.
Right.
And no different than you. You're trying to figure out how can I balance husband and parenting, because all I gotta do is say coo and rock to sleep. But you had to have that nurturing.
I had to teach. I had to train. I had to.
And that was your purpose at the time.
Yeah.
Between our partnership.
Oh, that's so good. Yes. Okay. I get that.
So now I got
it turned like that towards the church. Okay.
And
I get that.
But when the church got old enough, it was time to get them off our what?
Breath.
Off our heart.
Our heart, right.
And we both had to learn, okay, now they can walk on their own.
But it took us a long time to get there, Brother Devin. Man, if you was with us in the shopping center, you probably wouldn't even be no member here no more. It was a lot. We dealt with a lot when it came to let's go to the part of when now we're starting to transition and learning our identity and what we're doing, right? So now I'm raising the kids. I done got them where they need to be. Now we're learning, watch out for people.
Hold up. If this is making sense to you and it's actually clicking.
This is good.
I need you to do me a favor. I need you to drop in the comments, just say, this makes sense. I want you to know more. We got to stop this watching passively. I need you to be kind of more assertive, because I want you to just drop in the comment, this is making sense. This is making sense. All I want you to this is making sense. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I love it because, baby, we have another video. It was like 293 views, no comments.
No comments at all.
Come on, comments. I'm
gonna even say, Miss Dendra, thank you. I've seen on the last two podcasts.
Yes.
You drop comments. Thank you for just communicating.
Thank you for dialoguing and not just monologuing. We appreciate it. But we still thank y'all for viewing. Don't stop viewing.
Exactly.
I say this though. It was like, what was we saying?
You're talking about how that gummit. I'm sorry, I cut you off. We were talking about how we got going and we back in purpose now.
Oh yeah, we were both. So now we got the kids. Now the kids are, they're getting older. Maddie was 2 when we started. No, 1. She was 1 years old when we started church. Devin, can you believe that? That girl's a 1. pushing the chairs, talking about
Working.
what's to new destiny.
Working to new destiny.
But we literally from there, now they getting older, Matt a little bit older, tearing up the whole church. But now we're like tapping into, I started a women's ministry, and that was like the second year in, right? Started a women's ministry. But within that 1 year of doing ministry, I ended up doing like women conference, and now I'm finding myself, I'm speaking more.
These women blowing our head up.
He ain't lying. Now they starting to put me on a pedestal, because now I'm teaching and I'm ratchet when I teach. I'm not trying to, this is says the Lord of hosts. Now I'm not doing all that. I'm just teaching and using stuff that I've learned, But in the midst of it now,
I put you through.
Yeah,
I gave you ministry.
I almost said it. All right. But I literally I was teaching, I was, and sharing my testimonies and, going back, pulling that girl that was in ministry and learning and growing and all that. And so now they're putting me on a pedestal. And now it got to a point to where they wanted to hear me teach, and you made me co-pastor of the church, which that is not what it just said. FYI, I ain't want none of that. No, don't even want to be no, never mind. I didn't want none of that. But now we're coming and we're colliding.
Because you're finding that and
I'm finding out I have a voice.
And not just that, when you woke up out of your sickness, was you a co-pastor before you were sick? After you were sick?
I was before. It was before. Then I became a pastor in 2016.
Pastor. You were pastor after you were sick.
Yeah, after I was sick.
So, but the key thing is that we were operating as pastors. We was operating as pastor and co-pastor, and still you was kind of supporting me in a sense, but finding your way. But when you got sick, you find out that you was bigger than just a supporting cast. You was bigger than just your purpose. It's almost God had to let you die to be in my supporting cast and resurrect as, hey, I'm your co-laborer. We're gonna work this thing out together, or or by myself.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you a secret. I don't know if I ever told you this here, but I'm glad that woman died. Because if that woman wouldn't have died, you would have only went as we would have only went as far as my confidence level.
God.
I operated very shallow, but I did it and made it look good. People thought I was just moving big. I moved very shallow because I was afraid of failure. When you cut loose, you went into the deep ends of the waters, and now I'm looking like a kid in the doggone kiddie pool.
Yeah, and
because you swim deep.
And I think that's where that's where the what's the name really began too. The what do you call it? It was the competition, man. It was and my thing was, I don't think for me, I was even competing to a sense.
Now we talking now. I don't really think it was. I think what happened was, it was
competition.
Challenging. I'm gonna say challenging.
I would say competition. Let me tell you why. Because I remember times where I would get a lot of people to call me out to come and preach. And I'm getting there and I'm prophesying and moving, and it was just then people wanted to hear me and they didn't want to hear you, or they wanted to hear you and didn't want to hear me, or you got more calls out, and it made us clash. And it was more, go ahead.
Before this discussion, I called it competition.
Okay.
Because I wasn't able to use another word. But now that I'm sitting here talking to you and we're having this discussion, matter of fact, I'm going to tell you right now, this podcast, this is becoming therapeutic for me. I don't know about you. Each one.
We got to stop doing this on this podcast, being therapeutic.
I don't care. Y'all can just.
We got to stop.
Y'all go talk at home.
We need to go to our counselors.
But
no, I get what you're saying.
I think it was challenging.
Because you did support me, and I did support, like, it didn't matter where we were.
Competition would have been, you get on mic and you preach, and I come and preach, I preach you.
Oh, yeah, no,
I think challenging was because when you did stuff, I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And that's true. It challenged my normal. I wanted to stop it because I'm like, she's moving. I'm not used to this. And it was just so challenging.
I remember.
Even when you did your social media stuff, this is so foreign. It's like if I come home today and I'm gonna start saying I'm finna travel the world. And God told me to travel the world. You like, whoa, how are we gonna go from pastoring to traveling the world now? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's gonna challenge you. And you don't know, you didn't hear God. So you gotta move with me and just hope. And like I'm
going in the right direction, right?
Yeah. So I don't really think it was ever competition. I think it was challenging. I
gotta agree with you.
Yeah.
I felt like that it was more It was challenging, but then it was some levels of competition, like some seasons comparison. It was more of the comparison. It was some seasons of that to where it was just like you would be in your feelings, I would be in my feelings, or let a person, say how great. I don't know. It was just one of those moments.
Yeah.
But I believe too, it was the sickness that made me run, and I didn't care about. And that may be a bad thing because maybe everybody in their uncle got hot. Because I was like, I did not care. And I felt like that you were trying to suppress what I was doing because you didn't understand it.
And that's exactly right.
Yeah.
I did not know how to control
Mm-hmm.
this new thing that you were doing.
Because you didn't know what I was doing.
At all.
And it didn't make sense to you.
And you used to be submissive. You used to just, whatever I said, you trusted me.
Mm-hmm.
Now you didn't trust me no more.
Aw.
It hurt.
Oh, husband.
For over 15 years, you needed me. Now you don't need me anymore.
You stupid.
I'm for real, man.
Yeah, I know. And that's the greatest thing. I know you dead serious. Because that's what it was. Because it was like I wasn't asking you questions. I started doing research. I started finding my way. I was no longer Clyde.
People that were no good for.
That too. That you're so right. But I literally started finding my way. But I started researching. I started identifying who Tonya was outside of being your wife, the kid's mother, the church's people that I'm pouring. And I decided I'm not going to pour no more. I want to pour into me. I'm going to still pour,
So watch this.
but I'm going to pour into me.
So we was married.
Mm-hmm.
And we was going along good.
Mm-hmm.
I messed it up because I decided my purpose was bigger than just being your husband.
Mm-hmm.
And I disrupted because I'm going to college.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm finding me. You went along and we was going good. And then you decided, hold up, I'm bigger than just being your supporting cast.
Mm-hmm.
Here I am. I'm going to go and become a better me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the purpose competed not just with our partnership as a whole, but our partnership as we knew it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to finish this statement because if we define a growing marriage, because if we never did shift, we would be still stuck.
True.
There's some woman out there right now who's stuck being the what's the word I want to use? The compliant wife.
Yeah, the supporting wife.
Supporting wife.
Yeah.
And she don't want to disrupt. She don't want to create confusion. And she just suppressing this thing. You changed. I changed. You changed. I changed. And the partnership of who he was is no longer the same.
Right.
Because now the partnership has either gonna die
or resurrect
or shift.
Or shift. Yeah.
Either it's gonna say, okay, well,
or redefine. It goes back to redefining itself. I believe in that season after my sickness, after I started moving into things that God called, like I'm online, I'm doing social media, I'm writing books, I'm doing stuff that I find passion in and I'm loving. And I'm connecting with people not just in the four walls of the church anymore. And now I'm connecting with people outside of church. And it became a struggle because you didn't know these people outside of church. You had never met them, so you didn't trust them with me. But I trusted what I was doing, and I had to learn my way. And I believe during that time, when it comes to, it was a time of, even though you don't understand, I want to make sure that I do my part as your wife. But I need your support to understand that this is what God designed me to be.
Yeah.
And I think it took a minute for us to get there. Like, you did not understand that part. But I really understood your part. I supported you 10 toes in, man. I was down, Devin, for whatever. I'm down. And most of the time it's like that, though, with women. But for you, it was just, I say this. It was, you watched. Yeah, very controlling. But you watched from afar and you started seeing.
But you got to realize. You got to realize, can I interrupt right there? Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
But you got to realize this here, right? It was my responsibility and my role to protect my family.
And I get that.
It was your responsibility. Watch this here. The further I went, the further we went. So it was in your benefit of your responsibility to push me on, because that was how we gonna go. I was the horse pulling the buggy. So if I died where I was, we wasn't gonna move as a family. But I'm trying to protect you. You supposed to be in the buggy. Negro, you get out the car and you walk down the street. I'm like, hold up, get back in the buggy.
That's what it felt like, Devin. For years, it was like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Or you are. And you know, he used to do this to me. Like, oh, your little thing online. What? Like, this is what I'm called to do in this season. But I say this though. I knew that I no longer, and this is nothing against the church. I grew up in church. All I know is church. We went to church Monday through Sunday. You understand me? I was at church every day of the week, and sometimes second service, and during the week. It did not matter. I grew up in that. I grew up in speaking in tongues, shouting, dancing, giving God praise. I grew up in that, and now I'm in this, and I'm learning God for who He is. But as we're in this pastoral ship, I'm tapping into something like this is like, oh my God. My purpose is so much bigger than four walls. I thought that everything I did up until that point, and maybe you are me and I'm you, I thought everything I did up until that point, it had to be done within the church. Don't get me wrong. I still served in the church. Because everything I learned in the church, I just took it to the streets for those that may not ever come to church or those that are in church that needs that development. And I didn't know that at the time, but I knew if I stay here, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
I'm going to drown just doing ministry right here in this little bubble of the four walls of the church. Nothing wrong with that again, but I knew it was more that I was called to do, but I didn't know what.
Yeah.
And and now that I look at it, it's like, okay, that's what this was for. But I knew you were called for more.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell you that. I knew you had too much potential just to be focused completely on the four walls of building a church. There's nothing wrong with building a church and developing people and having a healthy church of growth.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. But I just knew that it's more than just this.
Because I think in the end, people get so caught up on church growth, but they forget
Facts.
about, while the church is growing, if the church outgrows the person,
Mm-hmm.
we got a problem.
A huge
And the
problem.
church outgrew us
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't let ourselves grow. And then here you go, say, you know what? And listen, this is what I gotta say, especially if it's a pastor watching. How did the church outgrow you to where you have no more experience but the church? And everybody else out there live in the world and do everything in the world, but you in this box called church, and you're not growing. I got to the point to where, hey, everything else didn't matter. I wanted to be the greatest pastor I needed to be, but then once God disrupted my plans because how my wife did, I found a hold up. I'm not through living. I'm not through doing things. I need to go out there and start becoming. Like Michelle Obama wrote the book Becoming. I need to start becoming, and we had literally stopped growing, and that's what frustrated you was the lack of growth because we had reached this pinnacle called pastoralship,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, hold on, I'm bigger than just being a pastor,
Mm-hmm.
and you gave me permission. Once you did it, got out the buggy and moved out into another situation, you realize, hold up, we can move better. We can get into a better vehicle of
Mm-hmm.
moving things, and you challenge the status quo. So I like I say, I thank you because
Mm-hmm.
if you never would have challenged the status quo, no different than me. We always talk about playing the leapfrog, how I jumped over you, and then I started doing things. You come jumping over me, and it's how we've been playing this journey in life.
Mm-hmm.
So I think to bring not the conclusion, but bring a clarity to all this here is just saying that, man, a good partnership is always being disrupted by the purpose in each one of us.
Yeah. And as long as the purpose ain't being crazy. Now I will say that is because you can find yourself doing 15 things and just running with that wife or that husband. Don't do that.
No.
No, there has to be some clarity, some commitment,
Yeah.
and some consistency to what you're building and what you're doing. And I think for us, because you saw my commitment, you saw my consistency, and you saw clarity, like it started making sense that this is where she's trying to go. Let me come with her and be a part of what she's doing. Still serve in my church, still be pastor, still develop people, but now let me find out how to do. And I believe if it wasn't for that, even in our now, it's like when it comes to the business part, it's even learning in that. I think we're learning now that we're two different people in business. We don't do the same thing. And I think as a couple, My word I hate. We're better together. Hate
Right.
that.
We complete one another.
And I think with couples, if they learn how to rock together and use each other's differences, you can rock out together and make it work. Again, do we always get it right? Baby, we be up in here, Brother Devin, me and Bishop had a whole heated fellowship behind this whole business, and everybody in here listening because we didn't went toe to toe because we're still
I
learning.
think Devin heard us in here in the podcast.
Yeah, and even in the podcast, it's like, dude,
he was like, "Look, y'all joking finna start arguing. So I'm gonna give y'all a topic
to talk
he's
about.
He's like, just get this
Here go a topic. But we learn together, even with this podcasting together. I've done it before by myself forever, but to come together and do it with someone else.
together.
Here we go. I can't stand that. People ask me why I can't. There's another. Yeah, I can't stand it. But I understand this, that when you are with someone and you are both go-getters, you're both moving in a powerful way, it is very important that you move together, because when you do, baby, you make some stuff shake.
Yep.
We done made some stuff shake.
Yep.
We done built some stuff along the way because of us moving together. So I'll tell any couple, if both of y'all move, whatever you bring to the table, I promise you, he doesn't bring the same thing to the table. She doesn't bring the same thing. But what you bring differently will make explosion happen like never before. And it's because of our differences that we made some stuff shake. We have built some stuff together.
Yeah.
We got nonprofit. We got church. We got businesses with an S. We got families that lean on our shoulders and lift us up. We got that together. And it's like, why not?
You know, you said something earlier, and I want to make sure I cut back to it. You said about we're not doing something crazy, purpose crazy. And I can always say, you know, you are always your sexiest when your purpose comes from within. I've always was frustrated when I felt like your purpose came because someone else said it. I think you said the other day, when people were talking about clothing line or whatever.
Yeah, they told me.
I got so frustrated along the journey whenever I saw people defining your purpose. And I saw you get caught up in what they said. But you was always your sexiest. You always is your sexiest. When I see you, like the day I saw you sitting in the room and you was typing up your book, the Bible study book, and I saw you and God showed me that she finna do some powerful things right now because you was moving and activating from that voice on the inside. So I say to anybody out there who's listening, is that how do you know if he's moving crazy in a crazy purpose? Look at him and ask yourself, is he following out what someone else has told him to do? Or have he tapped into, or have she tapped into something that she is recognizing is in her? If you know it's something that's recognizing from the inside of that person is about to move powerfully. Move back, support, encourage, because they tapped into something. It's probably because you encouraged them, and now you can't control what you encouraged them. I was in my best. My wife told me, "Hey, you can do this." When she told me I could do it, I'm gonna knock down some walls because she believed in what she saw was in me. So I think that was the greatest part. I've always thought you was most beautiful and the most amazing and the most attractive is when I always see you lock into that piece, even though I was scared of it because I didn't know what to do with it. But it always was very attractive because I knew that's something that she's called to do, not someone else is calling her to do.
And you're your most sexiest too, sugar. Especially when now I'm seeing you move, you're realizing, and I believe you, I know you have, you see that pastoring is not just who you are, but it's not who you are,
It's
but
what I do.
What you do. And to see you move in these boardrooms and as the CEO of our business, it is absolutely amazing. COO, whatever, you know what you are. You're the owner, you're co-owner of this business that we do together. And to see you be able to put these numbers together and get these opportunities, building houses from the ground up is absolutely amazing. So don't you stop. I just know the potential that was in you, and I'm seeing it unfold, and I'm glad I'm a part of it, that we didn't break up or divorce because of ignorance and immaturity. So I would tell anybody, don't be immature. Go on the journey with someone and connect with other people that can help you do that. We got around the right people too that could help us see that you could keep going together. Do it together and it'll work.
Yes. I add to that. That's my final words. I would add to that. You know, big marriages can't hang around with small people.
Ooh.
It's very intimidating.
Drop that, Jim.
You can't. You got to find bigger marriages to hang around. It always said to us that if you're the biggest person in the room, find another room.
Right.
I say your couple, your marriage is the biggest marriage in the room. Find another group of couples.
Yeah.
People that challenge you And I thank God for Bishop Woodard and Lady Woodard. They challenge us. We need
Yes.
to find other ones. I thank God
Yeah.
for Darren Lewis and Monica Lewis. Just
Yes.
watching them and watch their marriage. I saw them over in another country the other
Yeah.
day
Oh,
doing
really?
it was like you gotta look it out on
Okay.
LinkedIn. There was another country pushing their tea.
I love it.
I love to see people doing
Shout
great
out
things.
Darren
Yeah.
and his wife, Monica.
Yeah. So like
Yes.
people like that. So I would always it's time for, we got big couples, but we need to find more. We need to
Yeah.
find more people who make us feel small.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. So that's all I got today, baby.
All right. Thank y'all for rocking out. Like, share, all that great stuff. Be breezy.
Be blessed.